Afternoon, guys. Good to see you again. Forgive me for being dressed the way I am, but it's raining a lot. You don't often get people up here. I thought I heard some more. It's raining a lot today, on and off, so I'm out between showers. I'm just under a digger trying to take a fuel system off. Jack of all trades, master of none. But in my first video I talked about mental attitudes of survival. How do we cope? Could we be strong enough, etc, etc. So now I'm going to run through things section by section rather than do videos on this, videos of that, and have them splattered all over YouTube. I want to try and make them easy to find as an instruction, really, more than anything. But I talked about the principle of threes, which is 3 minutes without air, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food. So I'm going to cover each section, and today I'm just going to talk about 3 minutes without air. I'm going to just do something. I'm a diver as well as many other things. I'm a pilot. I have a pilot's license. I've done a lot of things in my life. So I've built up a lot of skills. So I'm going to talk about my idea of 3 minutes without air. It's pretty self-explanatory in many senses, you might think. But, you know, if I'm in water or I can't breathe, usually in water, I cannot think of another survival situation. Well, I can, because you could be gassed, but I don't think there's a lot you could do about that, to be honest with you. You really, unless you've got a respirator and some equipment or some breathing apparatus, you can't really get out of smoke or gas. So I'm just going to deal with, for the purpose of simplicity, being submerged in water. If we're submerged in water, the question is, how long can we maintain life holding our breath? Well, the first rule I'd say, don't hold your breath. Keep your airways open, because if you're thrown into any depth and you've got your breath held, let me explain this as a diver. If I drop down to 30 meters deep, my lungs compress to a quarter of the surface size, right? So if I went down 30 meters, did I say meters or feet? But if I went down 30 meters, held my breath and came to the surface, I would rupture my lungs. They'd just blow up. If I took a balloon down to 30 meters and put a slight bit of air in it, it'd be blown up to 4 times its size by the time it reached the surface. And that's what happens to our lungs. So always make it a rule never to actually stop, never to actually block your airways off. Always leave them open. And in the diving world, if something went wrong with our apparatus, our diving gear, our scuba or our tanks or whatever we're using, and we had to come to the surface, God forbid, we would blow out slowly, simple as that, and we'd make that noise. And believe you me, coming from death, because your lungs are expanding, you won't run out of air, if that makes sense. And if you've got any questions about that, please send me in the links below. You know, I'll explain that as a scuba and a paddy diver. I know a bit about that. That's as simple as it. The thing is, underwater, certainly at any depth, don't hold your breath, don't close your mouth, pinch your nose, don't hold your breath, leave it open so air can come out. So if you come off a ship and you got sucked down to a depth and come up with your airways blocked, you'd be in a worse state than ever. You'd be finished. As I say, it would rupture your lungs, you would blow up, you wouldn't even know what was happening. When you dive down to depth, when you dive down to say 30 meters, you don't feel your lungs compressing. You don't know that happened. Everything works just the same, but they do. And the first thing you know, out of the panic to get to the surface, you'll feel it, and then there'll be a lot of blood, and it'll be coming from places you don't want it to come from. So that's what I'd say mainly about 3 minutes without air. It's more likely, well, it's probably not more likely, but as I say, if we get more likely that we're underwater and not having air. But it isn't the case, actually. The more we think about it, we can be out of air in a smoky environment. But there is no answer to that, except stay low. You know, chances are most of the toxins in smoke will be not on the floor, they'll be hovering up above the floor. So I'd say, and I'm not a fireman, I'm not trained in this, I would say The only thing you can say about smoke is down. I don't know about gas. I will find out about gas. But if anybody knows about these smoke and gas, because there'll be firemen watching this, and there'll be people who work in the gas industry watching this, could you please let us know what your view is, or preferably send us a video contact to let us know, or send us to your YouTube channel, better still, and we'll subscribe. Let us know about gas and smoke and any other substances you could think that would deprive of us air or stroke oxygen. So in a war situation it might be CS gas, and the only thing you can do that is get out of it. I've been CS gas in the forces, and anybody who's had CS knows that there's not much you can do but cry, to be honest with you. You've got to get out of it. It is violent towards you, so you've got to get out. So, but anyway, let's build up a repertoire of air, you know, the 3 minutes of air. What do I need to do? And this is what survival's about. Building up a knowledge of what to do before a situation comes is going to be vitally important, not only to yourself, but to help others to be there and get them out and get yourself out and rescue yourself. I mean, it's always a priority in any situation to first of all care for yourself. You could be in an aeroplane thinking about it, and although an aeroplane, as a pilot, I do know a bit about this. An aeroplane is decompressed or compressed to fly at an average of 6,000 feet. So you're normally flying at 32,000 feet, but the internal environment is 6,000 feet. So you're not going to be out of air. You're going to be short of oxygen, you know, if a plane burst open and lost its pressure at 32,000 feet. Because at 20,000 feet or thereabouts, there's not enough oxygen to sustain human life. So really, you wouldn't get oxygen again, and you might go unconscious as the plane fell out of the sky. And the best thing it could, if it lost a big hole in the side or something like that, the best thing it could do is actually lose altitude, because you could then start to breathe again. And as I say, with that lack of oxygen, you know from climbers at the top of Everest, which is 20,000 feet, isn't it? You correct me, I don't know. I should have checked the height of Everest before I made that comment, but the last bit is so low in oxygen because the altitude is in that area. You need oxygen to survive. But in aeroplanes, they've thought of that. That's a good survival thing, really. In aeroplanes, the mass drops down and you can get oxygen to substitute for the oxygen that's not in that altitude air you're breathing. So it's pretty well thought out, that. So again, it's one we don't have to spend a lot of time on. That's 3 minutes without air. We shouldn't have to. You know, and all the thing I could advise on that situation in an aeroplane is listen to the hostess when she's telling you the safety instructions. How often do we get a magazine out instead? Get the magazine out, get the brochure out, or the card, and read out the safety instructions to yourself. That's prepping for survival. You know, what we could do after that is the next stages of what I'm going to talk about. The first aid, can we survive fire? That's survival, because you're not allowed sharp knives on aeroplanes. So I can't take me Mora on the aeroplane. So we'll go into, I think we'll probably look at plane disasters as a survival front, not too far. I'll make a note of that, because I'd love to see your comments on this, guys. I'd love to build this channel. I don't want to build this channel for me. I want to build this channel as a blog so we can all get involved in it and add the knowledge of many people. Survival, if we were all ditched, you see preppers prepping on their own and they're burying food in ground, they're building underground things, they've got guns, you know, they're burying this food for them and their families. But I don't think that's the way forward. I think you'd be better off in groups, or tribes call it, where you would take people in and they'd have to have chores and work for their living, because you'd all have to work. If there was 30 of you, you'd all have to be productive to survive. Where was I going with this? So building groups. If you're an aeroplane crash, there would be a group of you, and you get these people well, and you do your best. If you weren't the injured one, you'd hope they'd get you well, wouldn't you? You do all you could the first aid and get this group building up and send people off for water and get a fire going and boil the water. You get away from the plane, you maybe use some of the fuel, you get some of the resources off the plane or the boat or the yacht, whatever happened. But anyway, I'm not getting off. I don't want to get off the track here. I want to stay on the air. So please, if you're watching this video and you're a fireman or you work in the gas industry or even the aeroplane industry, we'd love to know some tips on survival if we were in that environment, if something happened. So this is Pete at Pete's Place, the survival channel on Bushcraft channel. I got it right this time. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please come again, and please don't forget to subscribe, guys. I need you to build the channel, and I value everything you've got to say. I watch a lot of your videos. Please add to mine. I'd love that. See you soon.